I was recently asked by a gentleman who follows me about how he can become a better listener because he often finds himself stuck in his own head and has a hard time focusing on what the other person is saying in a conversation. So I'm going to give you guys two things to think about if this is something that resonates with you and if you want to become a better listener in conversations and just to get out of your own damn head. All right. So the first thing is this. Most people do not give a shit about you. Okay. And I say that in the best way possible. Most people out there are too busy with their own damn lives to really be thinking about what you're doing, what you look like, or what you sound like. They are worried about their own problems. Are they going to make for dinner that night? What are they going to do about work? This big project that they're going out work. They're not sitting there focusing in on you to the extent that you think that they might be, because most people are subconsciously very vain. We're worried about what we look like. Is my hair okay? Is my shirt messed up? Are my shoes clean? Stuff like that. And the average person that passes by you, they simply just do not care about that. So anybody that does really focus in on something that you are doing is most likely very self-conscious themselves, and they're going to be projecting on you. And if they're making fun of you, they're simply projecting their own insecurities on you to make themselves feel better. And you really don't need to pay attention to people like that. So, keep that in mind, that when you're out and about, nobody is really paying that close of attention to you. I mean, think about it. When was the last time you sat there and just stared at someone and really looked at every detail of who they were as you were just passing by? Probably never. And even when we think we're like looking our worst and our hair's all messed up and our clothes are all disheveled, most people just don't care. And I've actually done a personal experiment with this because I wanted to just try it, because I was thinking to myself, there have been times where I'm like, man, I look like shit. I don't want to go out looking like this. Not that I think that you shouldn't care about what you look like, but I wanted to just do an experiment to see what would happen if I just went out when I felt like I looked like crap. And literally nothing happened. Nobody cared. My hair was all messed up. I was just wearing some beat up old clothes and just to see what was going on. And I even tried approaching and talking to people to see if maybe people would think I was weird or whatever. No one cared. They had a normal conversation just like I would any other day if I was dressed up nicely. Now, granted, yeah, if you're looking really good, got nice clothes on, you're well put together, that may have a slight more positive impact on some of your interactions. But again, so much of it is your energy and the confidence that you bring that, I can roll up looking pretty beat up and still have a good conversation, even if it was approaching a woman. I mean, as long as you have that energy, you're good to go. So that's the first point I want to make with you, is that most people just simply do not give a shit about you. And you should be happy about that, okay? Number two is a technique. Now, this is a really powerful technique that you can use in conversation if you find yourself struggling, like I said, like this guy said, to get out of your own head and listen. So this is something I learned in an acting class that I took. And actually, I recommend for everybody to take an acting class because it teaches you so much about communication, body language, and reading them and also doing them yourself. Now, this particular acting class I took was of the school of Meisner, the Meisner technique. And essentially what the Meisner technique is, it's all about paying attention to the person that you're doing a scene with. Because the idea behind this philosophy of this Meisner technique is that when you're acting, you're essentially reacting to what someone is saying. So if someone's telling a story, you're going to be, listening, like bobbing your head or having a different facial expression. And so much of creating an authentic looking scene in a movie is being able to react that in a way that feels natural. Because a lot of times if you see a movie that you think has bad acting, well, chances are it's because their reactions don't match what the emotion that the people are going through. So let me give you an example of how this could work. So in our class, we were I did a scene with someone, they would say something that didn't have any emotional charge. Like, for example, like, today is Wednesday, right? So they would say that, and I would listen to how they were saying it and then respond with my line according to how the information that I got from them. So let me give you an example, okay? So if someone says, today is Wednesday, now, what do you read from that? Well, okay, apparently this person really likes Wednesday. They're upbeat, they're excited about it, they're really loving Wednesday for whatever reason. So I'm getting a lot of information from that, right? Now, they could also say it in such a way like this. Today is Wednesday. Okay, now that's a very different way of saying the same 3 words. But it still gives a lot of information. Like, maybe this person, something bad happened on Wednesday, or they're not happy about it being Wednesday, right? They're dreading something in the future, perhaps. You can read a lot from them. So the point of this technique is that you're paying so close attention to how they're speaking, what their body language is, what their tone of voice is, that now all of a sudden you're getting out of your own head and you're really focusing in on them. So how can we use this in the real world? Because this is definitely applicable to you in your daily life. So whether it be if you're at work or if you're on a date, you can use this technique. So let me give you an example of how you could use this out on a date, okay? So if a girl that you're out with is telling you about her day, well, pay attention to how she says it. Is she excited? Is she smiling? Is she upbeat? Or is she a little bit slower? Is her tone more quiet? You can pick up on these things. And now I know some of you might think, okay, well, it's obvious. But it's really sometimes not that obvious, because a lot of us are stuck in our own head. Okay, what am I going to say back to her? What am I going to tell her about my day? And what was my shirt looking okay? All these things that you're self-conscious about are permeating your thoughts, so now you're no longer paying attention to her. But if you really just stop and just listen, okay, how is she speaking? What is her body language like? How is she? What's her tone of voice? If you really dial in on that, well, then now you're completely in the moment, you're listening to her, and you've gotten out of your own head, and you're really soaking up what she's going through, right? Now, this can also be beneficial when you want to get to know more about her in ways that she may not say explicitly, okay? So for example, if she's talking about men and she says, my dad lives with us, but he's all right. That doesn't sound like she has the best relationship with her dad. Now, obviously, that's kind of an obvious one. Maybe it's an easy one for you to pick up on. But if that's something that you pick up on, and you're looking for a woman who has a good relationship with her father and her family, well, then you can tell yourself, okay, well, I'm picking up that information from what she's saying. This might not be the type of girl that I would like to spend more time with. And now you have discerned that information through this technique of really focusing in on how they say things, their tone of voice, what words are they using, their body language when they speak about it. And you can use it to your advantage to really cut through the bullshit and be more selective with who you spend time with, the people that you date, even friends that you have, or even it could be a job interview situation where you go to an interview for a job and the person interviewing you, you're just like, man, this person doesn't have their shit together. I don't think I'd want to work at a place like this. It'd probably be a big pain in the ass, right? So this is a very powerful technique that I still use to this day. If I'm out on a date, or if I'm meeting somebody, I focus in on what they're saying. I will look at them and I look at their body language. So I'm just focusing completely in on them. And so by doing this, I'm not thinking about how I look or this, that, and the other thing. It really starts to shift your attention so you can not be so in your head. So it's a very powerful technique. So those are the 2 things that I recommend you consider. Okay, the first one, again, no one really gives a shit about you, and that's a good thing. So you can kind of get away with a lot, and people really don't pay attention to you that much. It's very powerful. And number 2, really focus in on how people speak, their tone of voice, the words that they use, and their body language to get yourself outside of your head and into soaking up what they're saying. So you, of course, can become a better listener and just not worry so much about yourself. So these are something that you can, try this in your next conversation and really see how it goes to help you get out of your own head if you struggle in conversation like this. I think you'll find it very powerful and very, very useful. I know I've used it for many years since that acting class. It's been a game changer for me. So if you guys have not already, I invite you to subscribe to the Sophisticated Scoundrel YouTube channel, this one right here that you're watching. I do videos every single week. And I also offer one-on-one coaching. So if you're stuck in dating and relationships and need some help, need some very honest, critical feedback on how to change and get better results for yourself, there's links down below that gives you more information about my coaching program. So click those and check them out. That'll do it for this one. We will see you in the next video.